Good morning, everyone. We're getting ready for our gentle yoga class this morning, and we have gone past the yamas the yamas, and now we're on to the niyamas. And actually, I've been reading this other book by Deborah Adele called The Kleshas, and I have a little book club going for this one as well. And in this book, she's actually describes the 8 limbs of yoga. And I thought that was actually really interesting. Of course, will I be able to find it right now? Anyway, the yamas and niyamas are the first two of the 8 limbed path. And movement is one of those limbs, which is asana. So today our first niyama is called Saucha, and it's purity. So go ahead and get yourself cozy. You can come to lying on your back if you like, or come to an upright seat, whatever feels good. And we'll start to just tune into the here and now, and we'll hear some thoughts from the book by Deborah Adele on Saucha. She says, Saucha invites us to purify our bodies, our thoughts, and our words. As we purify ourselves physically and mentally, we become less cluttered and heavy. Purification brings about a brightness and a clarity to our essence. As we purify ourselves from the heaviness and clutter of toxins, distractions, and scatteredness, we gain clarity to meet each moment with integrity and freshness. We become more pure in our relationship with each moment. Whatever form purity takes, it begins with an intention to lighten the load we are carrying. Whatever loads are weighing down our body, mind, and spirit. The guideline of purity invites us to move into ease, to do what it takes to get rid of this heaviness wherever we find it in our lives. Cleaning our bodies, our minds, and our living and workspace. And I think this point is important here. It says, in any way we hold on to past wounds, we injure ourselves and keep ourselves from the ability to be pure with what is current in our life. Forgiveness of self and other is the most generous gift we can give to ourselves. So think about setting an intention for your practice. Maybe it's this idea of purity. And you can't see what's going on for me off camera, but I will tell you that I could definitely use some decluttering in my life as well. So go ahead and let's all take ourselves down to laying down on the mat. And you can bring blocks with you. You can bring a strap with you. I'm just making sure I'm connected to sound good. Hopefully you're hearing me good. And as you come down onto the ground, onto your back, take a moment to pause for 3 rounds of breath in a constructive rest pose. So you can bring your feet as wide as the mat. Allow the knees to tent in towards each other. And then as you breathe, imagine that intention you set at your heart center is like a glowing jewel. As you inhale, allow it to radiate from the heart, filling the body with light. As you exhale, allow it to soften and fade. Let's do that 3 more times. Start to notice now where your body is making contact with the earth, and just feel that support. Almost like a soft hand at your back. Allow yourself to release any gripping or holding that might exist in the jaw, in the shoulders, in the face. And then with your feet as wide as the mat, we'll start to gently bring some rocking of the body. The knees can sway a little side to side. And then we can start to grow this movement a little bit bigger and allow the knees to fall all the way towards the ground, bringing the knees to fall to the left. You can turn your gaze to the right and then maybe reach your right arm out at a diagonal so that you can feel length from your right fingertips down your right arm, past your right armpit, down the right side of your waist, hip, towards your knee. And then with the next inhale breath, you can float the knees back up to center. And we're going to do the same thing on the other side. So allow the knees to fall over. If your feet are as wide as the mat, your left knee might fall down towards your right foot. And then you can turn the gaze over towards the left hand. Reach the left hand out at a diagonal. Just allowing for comfort. Without strain, you can start to imagine the breath caressing the left side body from the fingertips down the left arm, left armpit, side of the left torso, the hip, thigh, and knee. And then we'll bring it all back to center. From here, let's reach for our strap. And I was mentioning in classes before that I have an extra long strap for myself so that it's in a giant loop and I'm able to stretch it behind the back body and then still wrap it around the right foot. So we're going to extend the right foot up towards the sky and find some length through the back of the hamstring, the back of the calf. If your strap isn't long enough to loop all the way around your body, you could hold on to a strap or maybe even like a kitchen towel, something that you can use to help hold on to the leg. You could even interlace the hands behind the thigh, would be another option, or wrap the strap behind the thigh. But I think it's extra nice to have that anchor of support. If your strap is long enough but not long enough to wrap around your back, you could slide your hands down so that your elbows are resting on the ground, thinking about how we can balance our effort with our ease. If this feels like the right amount of stretch, great. Another option would be to extend the left leg long on the ground. This might give you a deeper stretch. Take a moment to settle in here, softening into support. When you find your thoughts start to wander, maybe you can kindly just notice and bring yourself back into your body's sensations. And then from here, we'll move the reins of the strap into the right hand this time and start to open the right leg out to the side, out to the right. So you're kind of feeling the stretch along the inseam of the right leg. Or asking yourself, where are you noticing sensation? And we'll take one more nice deep breath here, and then float the leg back up to center. And we'll switch the reins of the strap now into the left hand. We're not coming into a twist, so you can keep your right hip anchored down, just allowing the left leg to gently cross the midline. Thinking about stretching through the outside edge of the right leg along the IT band. Take a moment to breathe into sensation. And then when you're ready, we can lift the leg back up to center. Take a moment to unstrap the leg. So now it's floating up, still staying up towards the sky. Using the strength of your core, we're going to allow the leg to gently cascade down to the ground. So allow it to slowly, with control, find the ground using the strength of the leg and the core. And then once you find the ground, take a moment to take a long body stretch and maybe rotate the wrists and the ankles. We'll take a moment to pause and just observe the differences from left to right. Maybe now that the leg has found the ground, you have some tingling sensations or rehydration with fresh blood flow. And then let's bring both feet back onto the ground. We'll stretch the strap around the left foot now. Extend the left leg up towards the sky. Hold on anywhere you like and allow your leg to find some length here. Stretching maybe through the back of the hamstring. Looking for that sensation to be right in the belly of the muscle. And then from here, you can decide if you want to keep your right foot on the ground, or maybe you want to extend your right leg long. Maybe allowing for a deeper sensation. We'll take one more nice deep breath here. And with your next exhale, You can allow your left leg to fall over to the left, bringing the reins of the strap into your left hand. Breathing through the inseam of the left leg. If your body starts to notice subtle differences from left to right, think about offering yourself kindness, compassion, and curiosity. Take one more nice deep breath here on this side, and then we'll float the leg back up to center, switching the reins of the strap now into the right hand, just allowing the left leg to gently cross the midline. Breathing out along the outside edge of the left leg. Let's take one more nice deep breath right here. And then you can bring the leg back to center. Take the reins of the strap off of the foot, and then just take a moment to hold the leg up towards the sky. See what is required to hold it here. And then slowly, with control, we'll allow the leg to find the earth, slowly cascading it down towards the ground, using the strength of the core. And then when you're ready, you can take a nice long body stretch, maybe rotating the wrists and the ankles. And then from here, we're going to come into some bridging to strengthen through the glutes, the hamstrings, and the quads. So you can walk the heels in towards the sit bones. You can flatten your hands towards the mat, or maybe you shimmy your elbows right against your rib cage, pointing the fingertips up towards the sky. We can take a moment to find some micro movements. So inhaling to tilt the torso forward, exhaling to press the low back towards the mat and tilt the torso back. So just take a moment to find some tilts of your torso forward and back, following the pace of your own breath. You might start to activate your core here to help you exaggerate the movement. And then we're going to make this movement a little bit bigger by peeling up, this time lifting your hips, pressing into your heels to lift up into a bridge. Take a nice deep breath, and then on your next exhale, you can allow your spine to roll back down one vertebrae at a time. Inhaling to curl and lift up into bridge. Exhaling to gently lower. And go ahead and find a few more rounds just like this. And the next time you lift up into a bridge, you might recruit a block and slide the block underneath the low back if it feels comfortable. If you want to continue to work on some strengthening here, you could always stay lifted in an active bridge, and you might shimmy your shoulders underneath the body so that you can interlace your hands behind your low back. You can always change your mind at any time, take a rest, lower down onto the block, or if you don't have a block, lower all the way down onto the ground. From here, we're going to bring the knees to stack over the hips, either with your hips on the block or without. So if it feels too pinchy, feel free to just veto the block, getting rid of it. We'll do a few toe taps here to strengthen through our core. So think about activating the muscles of your core and just slowly, one at a time, tapping one toe down towards the ground. Inhale to tap, exhale to bring it back, one at a time. After that last round, when you feel you've had enough, you can land both feet, lift the hips, slide the vertebrae of your spine back down to the ground one at a time. And then we're going to find a deeper twist now. So you can press into your heels, lift your hips, allow the hips to gently rock from side to side, and then we'll rock them over to the right, land the knees to the left, opening up into a twist. And you can allow your gaze to turn away from your knees over towards your right hand. And just take a moment to soften here in your twist, breathing along the spine. Wherever you feel sensation, see if you can focus on that area and send your powerful breath there. Thinking about supporting the low back, we can do a little bit here to strengthen our obliques, our side waist. So this is totally optional. You can always relax into the twist if you'd like to skip this part. But if you want to, you can interlace your hands behind your head. And then on your next exhale, go ahead and lift your nose up towards the sky using the strength of your side waist. Inhaling to release your head back down. Exhale to lift. And go ahead and just take a few rounds here, following the pace of your own breath. Whenever you want to give yourself a rest, if you do have your hands interlaced behind your head, you could use the thumb pads to gently massage the base of the skull, maybe that area where your skull meets your neck. And then on your next exhale, we'll release that. We're going to roll all the way onto our left side. And I like to use the block here to create a little pillow for underneath my temple. You could also prop your head up on your hand if you don't have a block, or use a pillow. And then from here, we're going to strengthen our glutes with some clamshells. So gluing the heels together, you can inhale and lift to the top knee, exhale to lower it. And as you move here, can you send some loving kindness and gratitude towards your hip? Whenever you feel ready to close down this movement, take as many rounds as feels comfortable for you. Once you feel the fatigue and the heat build in your hips, you can lower the knee, stop the action, and then slide the knees down. So now they're in a straight line with the body. We'll lift the top knee and bring it down in front. And then you can start to sink the top shoulder back behind you a little bit. So you're kind of finding another twist here. Now, if we want to include a quad stretch, this could feel good to lift up to reach for your bottom foot. So you're kind of creating a bind here and you're stretching the bottom quad. Remembering all of these things are optional, so you can always give them a try and just, hey, maybe it's not for me today. When you're ready, we'll release the side, this version of cat chasing its tail, and we'll roll back onto the back. Take a moment here to realign your spine, and then you can just take a moment to pause, noticing differences from side to side. We're going to get ready for the other side. So to do that, we'll press into the heels, lift the hips, and just allow them to gently rock a little bit side to side, swinging freely like a hammock. And then you can go ahead and bump them over to the left side, stacking your hips to the right. Go ahead and extend your arms into a letter T and find a twist. We can think of Saucha, the purity in the twist, as wringing out anything we no longer need. Giving ourselves twists in the body is so cleansing. You can, of course, stay right here enjoying your twist. Or if you want to include that little bit of oblique strengthening, this time go ahead and interlace the hands right behind the head. On your next exhale, you can use the sideways to lift the nose up towards the sky. Inhale to soften, and just take a few more rounds like this at your own pace. Taking a rest whenever you need, and maybe using this opportunity to massage the base of the skull, maybe alongside the neck with your thumb pads. Then when you feel ready, we'll release that side, roll all the way onto your right side now, either propping your head up on your hand or on a block. We'll glue the heels together and begin to lift and lower the top knee for our clamshells. Thinking about strengthening through the glutes as you send gratitude down into the hip joint. In yoga, we're finding this balance of effort and ease, or easeful effort, and trying to build strength and then stretch. Strength and stretch. And when you're ready, we'll pause this action whenever you feel that fatigue a little bit of heat build. You can bring your knees to a straight line with the body. Lift and lower the top knee. This is going to give you a nice stretch, hopefully through the hip. You can stay right here or start to lean the top shoulder back. And then think about if you want the quad stretch, you might bring that leg back and reach the top hand down to grasp hold of the foot. Perfect timing for the kitty to make an appearance in the cat chasing its tail. This is Luna, the black Halloween cat. She's feisty, she's sassy. Take one more nice deep breath here. Wherever you're at, you can release the bind and we'll roll back onto the back. Press into the heels to lift your hips and realign your spine, and then just take a moment to pause and notice. Softening here, feeling the earth support you. And then however you'd like to get up into a seat, you can either hug the knees into the chest and rock and roll up and down the length of your spine, or roll over onto your side and press up into a seat. Once you come to a seat, you might like to use, I'm using a bolster here for underneath the hips to just help elevate your hips a little bit. And then we will want our blocks if you have them and our strap. We're going to start with Baddha Konasana, which is a bound angle pose. So you can bring your soles of your feet together. Inhale to lift and lengthen the spine, and then exhale to fold over your legs any amount. You might feel this really pretty intensely as a stretch for your hips. And maybe you want to use blocks here. You could also drag a chair over, use the seat of the chair to hold yourself up. So we'll inhale to lift and lengthen, and however much feels right for you, you can lean over your bound angle shape. Maybe in this position, you can reach your feet and you might want to fold over and just give your feet a little love, a gentle massage. Maybe just warming the toes. I don't know about you, but my toes are always kind of cold, especially in this cold fall weather. Maybe you just send loving gratitude down to your feet. Finding any places that might feel good to massage. Let's take one more nice deep breath here. On your next inhale, we'll grow tall. You can reach your arms behind you, maybe planting your palms on blocks. You can stretch your legs out and just give them a little shake from side to side. Next, we're going to come into a cross-legged position. But remember, you can also sit on a chair if sitting on the floor is uncomfortable. We're going to do what's called cow face arms, or Gomukhasana. That's the Sanskrit name for it. There's a portion of this pose that's for the legs as well, but I don't find that one to be as accessible for me personally. But if you know it and you want to include it, you're welcome to. I'm going to bring a strap in for the Gomukhasana arms, or cow face arms. So we're going to stretch the strap over the right hand. And if you are involved in any physical therapy and you have like a TheraBand and you don't have a strap, you could also use the TheraBand here The point is just to be able to make the grip of our hands a little closer. So we're going to rainbow that arm up towards the sky and then allow the elbow to bend. The strap is draping down along your spine. And you can kind of rest your head on the back of your hand. That makes sense. You're kind of, because you're lifting and lengthening your spine long. The crown of your head is pointing up towards the sky. Then we're going to reach the left arm out to the side, turn the thumb down so the palm is facing back. Slide that hand around, and you're going to walk your hands together on the strap. So however close they can get. Some people can interlace their hands here, believe it or not, but that's not necessarily the goal. It's where do we find the right stretch for ourselves? Maybe through the top of the shoulder, maybe through the tricep on the lifted hand. And then if you'd like to stretch a little bit through the neck, maybe you want to turn your gaze behind your left shoulder. That's the shoulder that's down. On the next exhale, you can allow your gaze to fall down towards the left side body. And then take a nice deep breath there. As you exhale, you can turn your gaze now underneath your right armpit. And then with your next exhale, go ahead and release the hands from the strap. Bring the arms onto, or the hands to rest on the lap, relaxing the arms. And then we'll just take some nice shoulder rolls, rolling the shoulders up and back and around. And then you can roll them up towards your ears, round them down in front. And then we'll get ready to do all of that on the other side. So this time my strap is going into the left hand, reaching it out to the side, rainbowing the arm up and over, allowing the elbow to bend. You can drape the strap down your spine, still holding on to it. Sit up tall, lengthening your spine, and then we'll reach the right arm out to the side. Flip the palm so it's facing back behind you and the thumb is down. And then you can wrap that hand around behind you, grabbing hold of the strap, walking the hands together just to that right place, that just right place where you can feel a nice stretch through the shoulder, maybe through the tricep. And if you like, you can turn your gaze over towards your right shoulder, past your right shoulder. On the next exhale, you might bow your gaze to peer down at your right side body. And then with your next exhale, float your gaze over and tuck it underneath your left armpit. Let's take one more nice deep breath here. And with your next inhale, we'll release this side and just take a moment to come back to center, observing sensations. You can close down your eyes, and we can find some more shoulder rolls, rolling the shoulders up and gliding them down the back slowly and softly as you send. breath towards sensation. When you're ready, we'll reverse the direction of our shoulder rolls. And then we're going to release that and come on to hands and knees if it's comfortable. If it's not comfortable, you're welcome to stay seated if you want to avoid being on the knees or the wrists. And you can always do your seated cat and cow here. Inhaling to lift the heart forward, exhaling to round the spine back. So either feel free to stay seated, but if you need to give the legs a break from your seated position and you're okay with being on hands and knees, now remember you can also pad underneath the knees by bringing a blanket or a pillow. Here I have a folded blanket, and this could be nice for underneath the knees for a little bit of extra padding. And then if you want to be off wrists while you're in hands and knees, you could also bring your forearms onto blocks to find a tabletop position. We'll inhale to lower the belly, lift the heart through the biceps, and then exhale to round the spine, drawing the belly button up towards the spine. Go ahead and move at your own pace through cat and cow. At any time, you could explore any other organic movement here, maybe by drawing a nice big circle with the belly button. You might bring your head around like a corkscrew in the opposite direction. Just finding some soft stretch through the neck. The next time you come back to center, go ahead and reverse the direction of your circles if that's the movement you're making. And then we'll come back to center and you can wag the tail a little side to side. From here, I wanted to introduce the idea of thread the needle. I don't think we've done that this term in this class. This is one of my favorite poses, and it's kind of a nice upper back twist. So for thread the needle, I'm actually going to bring a pillow. You could also bring a block. And then if it's uncomfortable doing this on your knees, in a moment I'll show you how you can do this just laying on your belly. So you're going to plant your left hand underneath your shoulder, bring the big toes to touch, open the knees wide like child's pose, and then you can thread the right arm underneath the body, bringing the right side of the head to either rest on the ground or rest on a pillow. And you might find a nice twist and stretch through the upper back, maybe that place right underneath the right shoulder blade. If you're wanting to do this not on hands and knees, you could instead come to lay on the belly, and it's going to be a similar movement. So you're propping your left hand up, threading your right hand under, and maybe using a block to rest your head. I don't get as much sensation doing this from the belly, but another way I can create a little bit more resistance is to bring the right knee out to the side and then maybe I really need to prop my head up on the block. So feel free to explore either version, either with yourself on hands and knees, or lying flat on your belly with kind of half of a frog leg. So I like this a little better with knee, my right knee bent and the inner thigh resting on the ground. I get a little bit more of a sensation through the upper back, the shoulder blade. Let's take one more nice deep breath here. And you can unwind from your twist when you're ready. Take either a pause in child's pose, or if you're on the belly, you can rest in Makrasana, crocodile, by stacking your palms or your fists, or bringing your forehead to rest on a block. Or the ground. If your forehead can rest all the way onto the ground, that's fine too. So we're just taking a moment to pause in between sides. If you're doing the twist, the thread the needle twist on your belly, we'll set up for the second side by bringing maybe the left knee out to the side, pressing onto the right hand, and then threading the left arm under. If you're doing it from hands and knees, go ahead and prop yourself up on your right hand, thread your left arm under. And as you breathe, can you think about purity here? Just like another wringing yourself out kind of twist. What can you let go of and exhale with the breath? Let's take one more nice deep breath. Wherever you're at, we'll release the side. Coming back to center, you can rest your head on your hands or your fists. If you're in hands and knees, go ahead and come into a child's pose, bringing the big toes to touch, opening the knees out wide to the side. This is a great stretch for the hips and the low back as well. And then when you're ready, we're going to come to meet up on our bellies. And to get to the belly, if you're not there already, you could come through a forearm plank if you like. So you could bring your forearms onto the earth, walk your knees back, and then just for a moment to find some strength, you might allow your belly button to hover over the earth, tucking your tailbone in, finding a forearm plank on your knees. You could always tuck your toes under to make it a little bit more challenging. See if you can find that heat and the strength in your core with this bit of tremble. And then when you're ready to release that, you can soften all the way onto the belly, and we'll land in Sphinx pose with the elbows stacked underneath the shoulders. Press your palms into the mat. Slightly tuck your tailbone to activate your low belly, and then lift your heart through. You might take a gentle shoulder roll, so rolling the shoulders up towards the ears, gently gliding them down the back to lift the heart. And then from here, we'll exhale, turn the gaze over towards your left shoulder. Inhale back to center. Exhale, turn your gaze over your right shoulder. And then exhale, bring it back to center. We're going to slide the hands down towards the hips, and you can turn so that your right ear is coming towards the mat. If you need a little bit more space, tuck your toes under and glide your body forward so that your temple can rest on the ground. If that doesn't work, you can also bring a block, or if that feels like too much for the neck, you can just bring your forehead to the mat. We're going to take a moment to rest, and then we're going to float up into a locust pose. So you can flip your palms so that your palms are face down next to your hips. Start to float your chest and float your legs into a flying superhero position. You can keep pressing your palms down or flip your palms up and float your arms, flying them back behind you. Take one more nice deep breath, and with your next exhale, you'll soften all of your effort. This time, turn your gaze to the right. Bring the left temple to rest on the mat if that feels okay for the neck. Take a moment to soften all of your effort. And then we're going to fly up for one more locust pose. You might flip the palms down to press your hands into the earth as you float the chest up, float the legs up. You could float the arms, and you don't have to come up very far. You don't want to feel strain in your low back. So using the strength of your core, the strength of your back muscles to float. And then when you're ready for a rest, this time we'll come into Makrasana, crocodile. Resting your head on the back of your hands. Softening all of your effort. And then when you're ready, we're going to come up. We're going to make our way up to standing. So you can bring your hands underneath your shoulders, tuck the toes under, press up through tabletop. And then we might go ahead and find a downward facing dog if that feels comfortable. So I'm looking for both of my blocks because I do like blocks for down dog. Or you can also use the chair. You might tuck the left toes under, float the right knee, tucking the right toes under, and then walk your stance a little bit shorter to find a downward facing dog, maybe pedaling your heels, sashaying your hips. The shorter your stance, I think, and the more support you have underneath your hands, the less pressure it'll be on the wrists. Take a moment here to shake your head no. Nod your head yes, gently, and swirl your head around. Maybe I don't know. And then come back to stillness. We'll gather up anything we'd like to kind of think about cleaning out clutter-wise in the body, and you can exhale it out with your breath in a lion's breath. And then when you're ready, we'll walk the feet to the hands or the hands to the feet. Come into a forward fold, plant your palms on your shins, on blocks, or on the seat of the chair. We'll inhale to lift and lengthen the spine up halfway. Keeping the gaze down towards the ground, length through the back of the neck. Exhale to forward fold. Go ahead and take 2 more rounds like this. Inhaling to lift and lengthen the spine up halfway. Exhale to forward fold. Inhale to lift and lengthen. Exhale to forward fold. On your next inhale, find a little buoyant spring in your knees as you float your torso up to stand. We'll sweep the arms around and then exhale, draw the hands into the heart center. Go ahead and take a moment to rest your hands on your heart, closing down the eyes or softening the gaze. You can bring the awareness down into your heart center. When you're ready, we'll blink the eyes open, and we're going to do a little bit of chair pose with a twist, option of a twist, and it's option of chair pose as well. So let's sweep the arms up towards the sky, and then on your next exhale, you're going to imagine you're sitting back in a chair. It can be any amount. Bending the knees, recruiting the muscles of the belly as you bring the arms out in front for a counterbalance. Like I said, you could also just stay standing. You wouldn't have to bend into the chair. We're going to find a twist now so you can bring your arms out, almost like zombie arms out in front of you. And then on the next exhale, keep the left arm going down and you can turn to the left. So you're sweeping your left arm back as your right arm reaches forward. Your hip points are still coming up front. Inhale to sweep the arm back up and around. Exhale, if you want to come into that chair, you can bend the knees any amount. Imagine you're going to sit back, and then we'll bring the arms out in front. This time the right arm keeps going, opening up to the right for a twist. Inhale, bring both arms back up, stand tall, and then feel free to try that 2 more times on each side. Feeling free to stay standing or including the chair if you want to build a little bit of heat and strength. This could be a standing twist or a twist from the chair. Could even sit in the chair if you'd like for your chair pose. After your last round, go ahead and bring your hands to meet at your heart center and just take a pause. And then we're going to start working on some balancing. That was to build a little bit of strength, and then we'll put these together into the option of a standing balance eagle pose. So from your standing, we'll sweep the arms up. We call this waterfall, lifting the heart and the gaze. Then exhale, you're going to press the palms forward and slide them down next to the hips. So you're pressing the palms back. You can lift the heels to float onto the ball of the feet for a bird pose, a standing balance. Inhale, sweep the arms up, waterfall or chair. If you want to still keep building some heat, you can always include your chair pose here. Exhale, stand up tall, press the palms back, lift the heels to float. So you're balancing on the ball of your toes for bird. Inhale, waterfall or chair. Exhale, one more bird pose. lifting the heels, balancing on the toes. And then we'll go ahead and release the feet back down. Let's take a moment to massage the feet a little bit. So you can bring your weight onto your left foot and just start to pivot around the ball of your right foot. If you had that tennis ball or racquetball, massage ball, you could also use that right now to massage the foot. And then we'll go in the other direction. For this next one, you might want to hold on to the wall or hold on to some piece of furniture. If you'd like, you can tuck the toes under and stretch through the top of the foot, through the ankle. And then when you're ready, we'll just give that foot a little kick out. Come back to your standing mountain pose. And let's try the other side. So you're bringing your weight into your right leg now, lifting your left foot, and just finding a little pivot rotation for the ankle. Working on balance here too. And then finding a place of support to tuck the toes under, stretch through the top of the foot. And then we'll release that side, come back to mountain pose. And now we're going to stretch the arms out wide to the sides, like you're going to give someone a big hug. Squeeze the shoulder blades together as you stretch the arms back, and then we'll wrap the right arm over the top of the left and bring them to the opposite shoulders for a hug. And you can rock the elbows a little side to side. From here, we're going to come back to stillness with our hug. Now, you have the option to keep your arms right where they are, or some people wrap their arms like so. I don't know if you can see this very well. For eagle arms, I kind of like the hug position better. And then for eagle, we can either work on strength by coming into a soft chair pose, bending the knees, sinking the hips back any amount, like a squat, or rather we can work on balance by peeling the left heel off of the mat, sending the weight into the right leg. You can bring the left foot to step on top of the right foot. That would be option one. You could touch the toes across to the other side, or you can lift the left leg and wrap it around the right leg. So finding whatever option feels right for you. When we work on balance, we look for a focal point, a place where you can send your gaze on the ground or at the horizon. Let's take one more nice deep breath in whatever version of eagle you've chosen. And then on the next exhale, we're going to bring the elbows towards the knees, sweep the arms out, step out wide, and take a moment to shake it all off, allowing your arms to gently graze your sides. You could gently tap the back of your hand at your kidneys, your adrenals. Just allow it to all flow off of you. Saucha purity, letting it go. And since we're so lucky we have two sides, we get to do the second side. So let's come back to our standing mountain pose for a moment. Take a moment to rest your hands on your heart center and just allow yourself to center into your intention. Closing down your eyes, you can bring your awareness, dropping it like an anchor into your heart. And then we'll blink the eyes open. You can spread your eagle arms wide to the side. Bring the shoulder blades to kiss at your back. This time, bring to mind someone special that you'd like to send a hug to. This time the left arm is coming over the top of the right for that hug. You can rock the elbows a little side to side, feeling that warm embrace, sending love and gratitude out. Breathing into the space between your shoulder blades. Now you could keep your arms here, or you could wrap them for eagle arms, whatever feels comfortable for you. You can work on strength by bending the knees, sinking the hips back, recruiting the low belly for a chair pose. Or we can work on balance. This time we'll peel the right heel off of the mat. You could step the foot onto the opposite foot gently. You could touch the toes across. You could wrap the legs. Finding a focal point, a dristi, will help you with balance. Notice that little bit of quiver, finding the middle, finding our balance. It's not a fixed place, but a movement. When you're ready, we'll start to draw the elbows towards the knees, sweep the arms out, step out wide, and shake it all off. Let's come back to center, returning to our mountain pose. Rest the hands on the heart center. Just feel into the rhythm of your heartbeat. With the next 3 heartbeats that you feel, can you bring something to mind that you feel grateful for? And just notice what comes to mind. Let it flow freely, without judgment. And then we'll inhale to blink the eyes open. We're going to be making our way now onto our mats, getting ready to come into our final resting pose. So if there are props that you would like to bring with you on your way, you might just have those handy. Feel free to step into a downward dog if you like, or you can also pause, coming down into child's pose if you like. That stretch for the low back. Another option would be to come to sit on the heels in hero's pose. And this could be very uncomfortable. So if you want to make it a little bit more comfortable, you could bring your knees a little wider. If you have 2 blocks, you could bring the blocks in between your heels. And then this is a supported hero's pose. And we won't be here very long. So it's just an option to try out if you'd like. When you feel ready, we'll come onto our seats. So I'm going to move the blocks out of the way, walk the knees forward, roll onto the seat. And then before we come down onto the ground, we can play around with a little bit of core strengthening here in boat pose. So you can sweep your arms out front, start to lean your torso back so you can feel the engagement of your abs. You could hug behind your thighs for support. And then maybe you want to lift the shins to find a little balance in your boat. Play around with boat as long as you like, and then feel free to roll onto your back. Hug your knees in, and maybe you walk your hands behind your thighs, up onto your ankles, or you could grab on to the knife edge of your foot and find happy baby. Maybe gently rocking a little side to side. You might fall onto one knee, stretch the opposite leg long, And then roll over to the other side. If there are any last shapes that would help you complete your practice today, you can feel free to insert them now. If you'd like to come into your final rest and you want it to be a little softer for your low back, sometimes it can be stressful for people's low back to stretch the legs long. So another option would be to keep your feet on the mat. This is the pose we started class in, I think, constructive rest, walking your feet as wide as the mat, allowing the knees to tent in towards each other, and then maybe resting your elbows on the ground with your hands on your belly. Or perhaps resting your arms at your sides would be more comfortable. As you begin to arrive into your final resting pose, or really any shape that you found yourself in, and you take a moment to scan the forehead, softening there. Imagine the eyelids like gentle sheets. See if you can smooth them out, allowing the hinge of the jaw to soften, allowing the shoulders to relax. And you can give yourself this time to soften all of your effort, relaxing the body and feeling held by the support of the earth. I'm going to offer you some quiet time before I reawaken you with the sound of my voice and a short reading from the book, The Yamas and Niyamas on Saucha, purity. In the book by Deborah Adele, she says, purity asks that all of us be in one place at a time. That means that our heads and hearts are unified. Our thoughts, actions, and speech are congruent. And we are in the present moment. The practice of purity asks us to slow down and do one thing at a time. Purity embodies the slow steadiness and integrity necessary to give all of our attention to one thing at a time. As we practice slowing down and giving each thing our undivided attention, we will find ourselves more integrated and more pure with the moment. Hurrying, multitasking, and busyness, all symbols of success in our culture, are killers of purity. The practice of Saucha, or purity, of cleansing ourselves and cleansing our ability to be with each moment, as we begin to lose the heaviness of waste and clutter, we begin to feel lighter, more expansive, more spacious. Our bodies become more alive, our minds become more clear, and our hearts more compassionate. And she leaves us with a quote by Krishnamurti: "I enter fully into each experience, and I come out fully from them too. I put the whole of me into all I do, and out of all I do." You can begin to deepen your breath, starting to send some gentle wiggles into your fingers and toes, rotating your wrists and your ankles. And then take a nice long body stretch, reaching the arms past the ears. When you're ready, you can roll onto one side, hugging yourself there in a fetal position. And then press yourself up into a seat, inviting your hands to meet at your heart center in a gesture of gratitude, Anjali Mudra. And then allow your head to gently bow towards the wisdom of your loving heart. It's such an honor and a privilege to have this opportunity to guide you through your practice. So I want to thank you all so much for being here. And once I stop the recording, feel free to stick around if you have thoughts or questions after class.